I think I was convinced when I read it was you saying, this is what I'm doing with this book. It says, some got to make it out and bear witness. A truly righteous man can't look at cold facts and call what happened here right. And it's that powerful idea of bearing witness, of saying, look at this. If you all look at this, you'll see that it isn't right. And yet, more than 100 years later, people were still looking at it and not seeing it for what it was. And it felt like this was you at the end of that line, having made it out of the courthouse, saying, here's the story, this is what happened. And did you feel
You
that?
have just found me out. What can I tell you? What can I say? But a lot of this is about bearing witness, and a lot of this is about, it's about just trying to portray what those times were like. I wasn't trying to preach, but I was trying to say, this is what it was. Look at it in its complexity, and then decide what is it that we need to do about this, if anything. And that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to lay it out there and bear witness, but I also wanted to honor my ancestors, and I suspect many of our ancestors, whether you're African American or not, just our ancestors who really, really paved the way for us to be here and to be the people that we've been able to become. And I feel a great debt. I feel a great debt to both the men and the women that are portrayed in Red River. But when I looked at this story, the story as it has been published in history books, and almost all of the easily accessible research papers, was not this story told this way. It was a story that was told about troublemakers in a town that had to be suppressed so that status quo could come back, so that the people in power could retain that power, so that things could just go back to the way that they were almost during slavery or post-slavery. And that took quite a bit of conjecture to try to get the portrait from the point of view of those 100 or so men that were in that courthouse and who gave their lives, in effect, because they were protecting their right to vote and their right to have their own elected officials.
You do it very powerfully. You really do. And something I thought made it more powerful is, to me, it felt like mixing of genres. Like this could have been a historical novel, and this could have been a memoir. And it felt like you did both, and that can muddle a narrative. But here, it seemed so important that we had this historical moment, this day that we learn about in the first half of the book. And then the second half of the book, you really take us through that family history and show us how people emerged without ever speaking about it. That this silent thing shaped what came ahead. And then towards the end, you have that rediscovery, and your father rediscovering it almost the way you did, and seeing how that family history shaped them without ever having known what it was. And that makes for powerful, literary writing.